Hello. So today we are going to be talking a little bit about what you see here in front of you on this Padlet. This particular lesson is geared towards 10th graders. Usually at that point they're doing a little bit more serious research in the library, so it's good to talk to them about the validity of sources, and that's really going to be our objective today, is to talk about the validity of sources. Hopefully this is something that students have seen before. It's not something that's new to them, but in case it is, it's an opportunity for them to learn from scratch. If it's not, it's a nice review and a way to help them remember to focus their searches and to make sure the sources that they're using are valid and ones that are not biased in any way, or if they are, what to do about that bias. Why it's important? We want to make sure that we teach students not just the research for their papers or their projects, but just when they're reading things on the internet in general, how do you filter through what is a reliable source, what is giving you facts, where those facts have come from, as well as if it is something that's an opinion and it is biased, what do you do with that bias? Is that something that you can still incorporate into your research? And sometimes it is, but you have to handle it the right way. So we'll go through those kinds of things within the sources on this Padlet. So the discussion question is, what factors do we need to consider when we are evaluating the validity of resources in our research? So if we find a source, how do we know it's valid? What process do we go through to know that this is a source that's useful to us, that's helpful, and that is telling us something that is actually true? Because as we know, not everything on the internet is true. Eventually, it would be good. I want the students to create a guide for use in class to evaluate the sources they find on the internet. So by giving them some different options and ideas for them to then sort of filter down and say, here's our checklist that we've created of how we're going to go about evaluating the resources that we're looking for in use in our research project, whatever that may be. So as far as the different materials, you'll see over here on the left, videos. I've sorted the Padlet by the kinds of sources that they are. So the videos are to the left. There's one on how to detect lies. There's a kind of fun one from Stanford University on how to evaluate sources, especially not just the stuff that's on the internet, but they actually talk a little bit about the resources in the library as well. So using those databases that are available in the library. And then that bottom one there, what to consider when searching the web for sources. So what kinds of things do we need to think about when we're looking for sources? Then that next sort of the small pair underneath, kind of in the middle there, are two things that are games or interactive kinds of things, looking at the validity and reliability of sources. So that first one is from study.com and goes through how to assess those things. And then the second one is from factcheck.org. It's actually really neat because it has, you look at a news feed and you have to think about, okay, so someone posted this. What does that mean? How do I know whether what they're saying is true or not? And has the students kind of go through the process. So it's fun that it gives them that real life kind of experience. And then off to the right here, underneath the standard, you'll see 5 different PDF files. Those are all different files that they can read. So we kind of went through lots of different modes of learning here. So we have the interactive, we have the visual and the audio, and then we have some print sources here as well. So the MLA organization has a checklist for evaluating sources. There are some tips from some different consumer media places, EasyBib, the Code of Ethics for the Society of Professional Journalists, and some other evaluation worksheets. I would hope that the students would, is a good practice in not copying someone else's work and sort of seeing what other people see as important and then incorporating that into their own work when they go to create their checklist or worksheet for how to evaluate sources. I included the one of the Code of Ethics for the Society of Professional Journalists because I think it's good for students to see that this idea of professionalism and being honest is not something that's limited to the world of academics. It's also something that's in a professional setting as well. As far as when they'll use this in real life, I think there's ample opportunities to use this in real life. Number one, when they interact with others on social media and they see someone posting something, a statistic or a source, for them to be able to say, okay, well, this came from this site, it ends in a .net. What does that mean? Is it from a university? Is it something that's written by a professional journalist? Is it from a science magazine? Where is that from? So being able to go through sort of all of the information that they're inundated with and being able to say, yes, I now feel like I can evaluate these things and know when people post things, whether it's something that's a fact or whether it's something that's an opinion, or whether it's something that's somewhere in between. It's a fact that's been twisted somehow, so it becomes an opinion. So, or is it research that's been skewed in some way? They'll be able to evaluate those things for their real life. And then also, I just think knowing that there are organizations that help promote honesty and truth in media, perhaps that's something that they're passionate about and they're interested in, and that's a career path they could follow as well. So here's kind of the overview of my Padlet. Hoped you like it. Thank you very much.